How's it going, everybody? Day 3 is now over. Group B is finished. We know who's in and who is out. And it was a crazy, crazy, crazy day 3 with a lot of action. But I want to recap Group B since it's all done and over with. So let's take a look first at my predictions. Got my predictions up here. We see that I have LGD going 4-0. That clearly didn't happen. PSG going 3-1, V3 going 2-2, Unicorns of Love going 1-3, and RainbowSeven going 0-4. But I was as far from right as one could possibly be, because you see here, PSG went 4-1. They have the 5 games because they had to play the tiebreaker. Same thing for UOL, 5 games. They went 3-2. RainbowSeven, the only team who didn't have to play the tiebreaker at 2-2. LGD, who played the tiebreaker against V3, goes 2-3, and their only 2 wins are against V3, and V3 go 1-4 and are out of the play-in stage. Absolutely crazy, complete difference. I don't think anybody could have predicted that PSG would be 4-1 leading this group, especially when they had 3 subs coming in to the play-in stage in day 1 and day 2. What a fun group to watch, and it was a lot of action that I can't wait to see more of. So let's talk about each individual team. I want to kind of show how they play during this entire play-in stage, because I think it's really important to knowing what we're looking at going forward, even for future Worlds implications. So PSG, they did so well even without their starters in River and Tank. Kongwei and Uniboy coming in, they stepped up. D, who came in to play bot lane for the first 2 days, did his part as well. Their macro was on point. Their team fighting was absolutely outstanding. Their aggression was always there when they needed it. They were not afraid to make early plays, to trade flashes, to set up repeat ganks. It created good early leads, and they just snowballed into the late game. Absolutely perfect League of Legends, almost perfect League of Legends played by PSG this weekend. It was a joy to watch, and they automatically move on to the main stage, as I said, so they are going to get a shot at maybe making it to the knockout bracket up there. They have a lot of great things coming down the pipeline for them. Really, really excited to keep watching them play. Unicorns of Love. Honestly, they should have went 4-0, but they choked against R7, and they choked in the tiebreaker. And they've shown that their aggression sometimes comes back to bite them, to the point where they cannot come back from the mistakes that they've made. It's either they get too aggressive late into the game when the other team has items as well, so if they make one mistake they can push, or they get so aggressive early that they throw a lead that they had. They did that multiple times. Sometimes it doesn't seem like they're respecting their opponents with the way they draft. That draft against PSG, though it worked out, it was absolutely crazy, and they played it perfectly, honestly, but in reality that shouldn't have worked. But this Unicorns of Love team is still really strong. Expect some good things out of them in the knockout. They'll most likely make it to the main stage, and whatever group they get placed in, I'm pretty sure they'll have a fighting chance to work their way to the top of it. RainbowSeven, this team turned it on when they needed to. Man, with their backs against the walls, each time they got the win. Big wins against LGD and Unicorns of Love. They secured a spot in the knockouts. They didn't have to play a tiebreaker, and they proved the doubters wrong. And I was a doubter. I thought they were going to go 0-4, but no. They proved me wrong. They showed that they have the control over the game to deal with early game aggression when their drafts don't necessarily allow them to be the aggressors. And if they wanted to, they can turn on the heat as well, as we saw with that Evelyn game against Unicorns of Love. They show that they're still a pro team who capitalizes on mistakes. They will not go down without a fight. They proved that this weekend, and they play LGD tomorrow. That's looking to be a great series if they continue to play the way they have been playing. Now, LGD, the 4th seed out of China, barely held on in this play-in stage. And honestly, it's because sometimes they look like they were playing solo queue. They play aggressive, yes. They play aggressive lanes. They play aggressive jungle. But when it comes to team fights, sometimes they forget that it's the word team before the word fight. A lot of the times LGD were getting split around objectives and having trouble controlling objectives as a team. So they picked the Kindred. So in the early game, they literally have to force themselves to play as a team to get their carry ahead. Kindred wants her marks. It's usually on objectives like a scuttle crab or an enemy camp. They literally force themselves to work as a team to ensure that they can set up map pressure as a team and not individual solo lanes getting pressure for themselves and just dragging the bot lane along with them. It's a very, very interesting concept on how that worked. And honestly, I think the only reason why they beat V3 in the tiebreaker game was because V3 kind of made themselves lose in Champ Select. So what's to expect from LGD? And they historically, they play better in series. For whatever reason, they're not really good at the one game thing. They're really good in series. So maybe they turn it around against RainbowSeven and flip the switch like they did today. But it's still a coin flip at this point with the way that they showed that they played throughout this weekend. It's a coin flip. The only two teams they beat all weekend were not RainbowSeven, V3 twice. Only teams they beat. The only team that they beat. So I don't know. It's a very interesting look for this team right now. It's not a good look by any means, but you still have to have faith in them since they are an LPL team. V3, what can I say except for Champ Select, Champ Select, Champ Select. Their drafts, especially in day 3, were absolutely terrible. Now, V3 is known for different style drafts where, they play a Predator Galio mid lane instead of an Aftershock. They do the Scion, and so they can do the lane swap top. They flex set in every role. However, in day 3, their drafts just didn't make sense. The idea was there. I understood what they were trying to accomplish. It's just when they pick Silas Jungle is very weak. He doesn't have clear. He can't clear his camps healthy or fast. And then when they picked Elise Xayah, 2 non-meta champions into a team that the later you let them get, the better they'll be, and then they didn't execute the early game at all. It's very unfortunate to see a team lose before they even have a chance to step on to Summoner's Rift. On the upside, they did show that their mechanics are great. They're on par with the rest of the world. They know how to team fight very well. Just at the end of the day, they just didn't perform when it mattered and when they needed to win fights and when they needed to make certain picks in Champ Select, they just didn't do it. And I ultimately think that is why they lost so bad this weekend. But they'll go back to Japan, they'll look to regroup and maybe make a push for Worlds next year as well. Because again, this is still a very, very solid mechanical team. So just to recap, going forward, PSG will move on to the main stage already. UOL, Unicorns of Love, will face the winner of Group A's Seed 3 and Seed 4. Whoever wins that game will face Unicorns of Love. LGD will play RainbowSeven tomorrow. LGD, like I said, usually better in the series format, so maybe they can perform better, but RainbowSeven looking really strong right now, especially after today. And V3 will go back to Japan, look to make another run at Worlds next year because, again, they're still a very strong mechanical team. They just need to fix up some issues in Champ Select, and I think they'll be all good. But other than that, that is my recap for Day 3. Day 4 will bring you all the Group A action. Group A will be settled by the end of Day 4, and we'll know what the knockout bracket will look like so we can see who might possibly make it to the main stage of Worlds this year. But until then, I'll see you guys around.